Let's talk about co-founder relationships. How should you think about your co-founder? Who should you bring in as your co-founder? And how should the relationship move forward? The first thing to keep in mind is that co-founder conflict is the number one reason for startup failures, accounting for almost 65% of all startup failures. It's not running out of money, it's not an inability to sell, it's not product market fit, it is co-founder conflict. That is how important it is that you and your co-founder have an amazing relationship. How could you make sure that yours is not one of those? By having a co founder with whom you have shared values and a shared vision, and more important than anything else, a friendship that transcends the work you're doing. You are arguably going to spend more time with this co founder than anyone else in your life, including your spouse and your children and anyone else you work with. This is at least true for as long as you will run the startup together. So it's very important that you pick somebody with whom you have a great relationship, you have great respect for, and you have trust at the highest levels. A lot of people ask about, is it really a 50-50 role, how to think about the division of responsibility, etc. A very powerful construct in terms of how to think about it is if both people are willing to do 60-40, which means that I'm willing to do 60% of the work and take credit for 40% of the work, and the other person is willing to do the same. Now you have an amazing situation. In other words, I should be willing to do 60% of the work, cross the bridge more than 60% of the way, as in more than halfway, and the other person is willing to do the same. And now you have an almost 50-50 situation. The so-called division of labor is a slightly more nuanced question. Now, in some cases where the two co-founders or the three co-founders have very complementary areas of skills, and they come from different areas, say sales or tech or marketing, then there may be a natural division of labor there. But in Silicon Valley and in many cases in tech, the two co-founders are often technical people, technical founders. So that's truly the case for us. For example, my co-founder and I, we both come from a tech and product background, which means that we just try to fill in the gaps wherever they are. We don't look at this as this is strictly my job or his job. We just try to fill in the gaps wherever they are. In order for that to be the case, you need to have the highest level of trust again, because if one of us makes a decision, the other person should be willing to say, oh, if she made a decision, I'm good with that. A lot of people have asked me about equity split between co-founders. If you think about the co-founder relationship just how I described it, then the best way to think about this is a 50-50 equity split. But I know it doesn't always work that way, so I'll make a part 2 about how to approach this when it doesn't work that way.